left center field is going to be a base hit. A base hit by Jimmy Qualls, and it breaks up the perfect game. Now the applause for Tom Seaver. 8 1/3 innings of perfect baseball by Seaver.
He was, the marquee name of that generation. What he was able to do on the pitching mound was just incredible.
Jones is on the warning track. The World Series is over.
Congratulations, Tom, on a great year. We got the greatest bunch of guys you've ever seen, and we're just a bunch of young kids that love to play this game. It's terrific.
I remember the team celebrating, and they were all excited about it. And Tom Seaver.
I don't want to be a 500 ball player. I want to be a winning ball player. I'll celebrate when we win.
You have to understand what it was like to be a Met fan, that there was an acceptance that the team was going to lose 100 games every year. It was almost as though it was the first breath of fresh air the franchise had ever had.
One thing, obviously, that I always remember, my first ball game that I ever pitched in the major leagues, we won. I didn't get the credit for the win, but I participated in a winning effort. That was certainly a memorable event for me.
Seaver took home National League Rookie of the Year honors and got the win in the All-Star game.
What a skillful, almost incredible performance by the finest young right-hander in baseball, Tom Seaver.
The one thing that's clear is that Seaver never wanted to leave, and they kind of forced his hand. And at the end of the day, it was a real black day for the franchise.
It just never should have happened. It set the franchise back years and years and years. And for Tom, it turned out to be a pretty good thing.
Now the applause for Tom Seaver. 8 1/3 innings of perfect baseball by Seaver. Here's the ovation for Seaver.
In the pitch. He bounces to first base. Dreesen has it. He goes to the bag, and Seaver's got it. Tom Seaver has pitched his first major league no-hitter.
Seaver was the catalyst. He's the guy that transformed the lovable losers into the most unlikeliest of World Series champions.
But from the bottom of my heart, it's great to be back in New York. It's great to be a New York Met once again. And if I do not have the success here that I would like to have, it will not be obviously from a lack of effort. We are a ball club to be contended with, and I think that those who have not believed in us before, I think have every right to believe in us now.
The ball game is over. Seaver has won 300. He has become the 17th man in the history of baseball.
It's hard to imagine anyone doing what Tom Seaver did because no one will ever be the first again. You can only win it for the first time once. You can only be the first great player developed by a franchise once. And really, that makes Tom Seaver an almost impossible act to match. I remember thinking my childhood ended that day because there are certain people who are iconic within your life. It really was the end of an era.
This is justice. This is justice. He wins his 300 in New York in Yankee Stadium.
I have been very blessed. From the time I started, from the time I joined the major leagues.
Take a bow, Tom. After 14 seasons, man, you've earned it.
To only become a franchise's first iconic star once in the team's history. That's it. And that was Tom.
He mowed them down. The last 10 guys in the game never hit the ball.
He was the franchise. He was the bellwether for the New York Mets for a full decade and the best player they've ever had.
He was so smart, and he had such passion for pitching. He called it an art form.
He really was the guy that set the tone for everything there. He brought hope.
What does it take for a pitcher to be so dominant that Reggie Jackson, Mr. October himself, would say this? Blind men come to the park just to hear him pitch. This was not a compliment tossed around casually. This came after Jackson faced Tom Seaver in the 1973 World Series. But here is what will shock you. Hank Aaron, the man who broke Babe Ruth's home run record, made an even bolder statement. And when 7 Hall of Fame pitchers were asked one simple question, their answer was unanimous. This is not just about baseball excellence. This is about respect. 1967 All-Star Game. Tom Seaver, 22 years old, a nervous rookie, walks into a locker room full of legends. He grew up idolizing Hank Aaron. He loved the Braves uniform, the way Aaron swung the bat, everything about him. Now they are teammates for one night. Seaver approaches cautiously. Mr. Aaron, I am Tom Seaver. Aaron looks up and smiles. Kid, I know who you are. And before your career is over, I guarantee you, everyone in this stadium will too. Fast forward through the years. After countless battles, after Seaver has won 3 Cy Young Awards, after he has struck out thousands, someone asks Hank Aaron about the toughest pitchers he ever faced. Remember, this is the home run king. He faced Sandy Koufax. He faced Bob Gibson. He faced Juan Marichal. Aaron's answer? Tom Seaver was the toughest pitcher I ever faced. Think about that moment. Your childhood hero becomes the person who respects you most. The man who predicted your greatness now admits you made his job harder than anyone else. Have you ever met your childhood hero? Drop a comment below. June 15th, 1977. New York City wakes up to devastation. The Mets have traded Tom Seaver to the Cincinnati Reds in what fans would forever call the Midnight Massacre. Seaver, their franchise player, their hero, is gone. But Seaver sees it differently. He tells reporters, "At least I do not have to face Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, and Joe Morgan anymore." The irony? Now he would pitch with them, not against them. First day as teammates. Seaver takes the mound. First inning, he gives up hits and runs. Johnny Bench, the greatest catcher in baseball history, is behind the plate. Suddenly, Seaver walks to the mound and looks directly at Bench. "Are you giving me your best?" Bench is stunned. This is Tom Seaver, the new guy, questioning him. But that moment changed everything. Years later, Bench would say, "He was the best I caught over a period of time. I never knew a pitcher with such great knowledge of pitching. He had such a great mind. He could outthink the hitters." Joe Morgan, 2-time MVP, watched Seaver dominate opponents for years from the other side. Now seeing him practice every day, Morgan admits, "I always marveled at him when I was on the other team. But now, seeing him all the time, I say to myself, how did you ever get a hit off him?" But teammates only saw one side. What about the pitchers who stood on the mound with him? ESPN asks a simple question to 7 Hall of Fame pitchers. Who was the best pitcher of your generation? The panel includes Bob Gibson, Juan Marichal, Jim Palmer, Nolan Ryan, Steve Carlton, Bert Blyleven, and Don Sutton. Combined, these legends won over 2,700 games. They struck out more than 45,000 batters. They dominated baseball for decades. Their answer? Unanimous. Tom Seaver. Bob Gibson faced Seaver 11 times. Gibson, the intimidator, the ace of the St. Louis Cardinals, won only 3 of those matchups. Seaver won 6. Gibson later admitted, "I could beat him, but that was when I was giving up only 1 or 2 runs a game." Nolan Ryan, the all-time strikeout king with 5,714, voted for Seaver. Steve Carlton, who battled Seaver for Cy Young Awards year after year, picked Seaver. Jim Palmer, the Baltimore ace who dominated the American League, acknowledged that Seaver was better. Why unanimous? Hitters can tell you who was toughest to face, but pitchers see something different. They see preparation. They see adjustment. They see the mental game happening pitch by pitch. Who is the best pitcher you have ever seen? Let us debate in the comments. To understand what they saw, we need to go back to where it all started. April 22nd, 1970, Shea Stadium. Tom Seaver steps on the mound and does something no pitcher had ever done. He strikes out 10 consecutive batters, 10 in a row. The record still stands today. That same game, 19 total strikeouts. His signature move, the drop and drive delivery, had his knees scraping the dirt with every pitch. He was not the hardest thrower, but he was the most devastating. Ted Simmons, the Cardinals catcher who caught Bob Gibson, said this, "Jim Palmer and Nolan Ryan may throw as hard, but as far as total command of what he is doing, nobody is better than Seaver." Johnny Bench added, "He had such great knowledge of pitching." Seaver studied every hitter. He remembered every at-bat. He prepared like no one else. The numbers prove it. 311 wins, 3,640 strikeouts. But here is the crazy part. 15 straight seasons without a losing record. 16 seasons with an earned run average under 3.0. At age 40, he still posted a 5.0 wins above replacement season. Only one pitcher in modern history achieved a 5+ wins above replacement season at age 22 and age 40. That is not just talent, that is mastery. But even masters face doubters. Sparky Anderson, Hall of Fame manager, 2,194 career wins. He managed the Big Red Machine with Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, and Joe Morgan. He managed the Detroit Tigers to a World Series title. He saw the greatest players baseball ever produced. Yet, when asked about managing, Sparky said this: "My idea of managing is giving the ball to Tom Seaver and sitting down and watching him work." This is enormous. Managers do not say this, ever. Most pitchers need constant guidance, pitch counts monitored, mound visits for strategy. Not Seaver. He once said, "My pitch count as a general rule was 135, and I knew how many pitches I had." Self-regulating, self-coaching, self-perfecting. Seaver made 16 opening day starts. That is a Major League Baseball record. Why? Managers wanted him when games mattered most. Seaver explained his philosophy simply. There are only two places in the league, first place and no place. Sparky's quote was not about talent. It was about trust. Complete, absolute professional trust. Ever had a teammate you trusted that much? That is rare. But trust must be earned. And in 1969, Seaver earned it in the most impossible way. From 1962 to 1968, the New York Mets averaged 109 losses per season. They were baseball's punchline. Vegas gave them 100-to-1 odds against winning the World Series. Everyone laughed. Then, Tom Seaver arrived. 1969. Seaver goes 25-7 with a 2.21 earned run average. He wins the National League Cy Young Award. But numbers cannot tell this story. World Series Game 4. Mets lead the series 2-1 against the Baltimore Orioles. Seaver takes the mound and pitches 10 complete innings. Final score, 2-1 Mets victory. Not just a win. Total dominance in the game that changed destiny. Next day, the Mets are world champions. Think about the transformation. Seaver's first year, 1967, Mets lost 101 games. 2 years later, world champions. One player changed everything. His words: "If you do not think baseball is a big deal, do not do it. But if you do it right." July 9th, 1969. Seaver is perfect through 8 1/3 innings against the Cubs. Then Jimmy Qualls gets a single. Perfect game, gone. Seaver's reaction? Professional, composed, focused. Lost the perfect game, but showed perfect character. Gil Hodges, the manager, said, "He went about his job in a very professional manner, and it caused me to do the same with my job." Miracles are not luck when led by obsession. And when everything was counted, remember Reggie Jackson's words? Blind men come to hear him pitch. Now we understand. They were not hearing fastballs. They were hearing precision, preparation, perfection. January 7th, 1992. Baseball Hall of Fame ballot results. Tom Seaver receives 98.84% of votes. 425 of 430 ballots. Highest percentage ever at that time. But even that cannot capture what we have learned today. The real legacy lives in what others saw. Hank Aaron went from idol to believer. Johnny Bench transformed from enemy to witness. 7 Hall of Fame pitchers gave a unanimous choice. Sparky Anderson offered complete trust. Different angles, same conclusion. Seaver himself explained it best. In baseball, my theory is to strive for consistency, not to worry about the numbers. If you dwell on statistics, you get short-sighted. If you aim for consistency, the numbers will be there at the end. He proved his own philosophy. When players talk about Tom Seaver, they do not just remember greatness. They remember what greatness looks like up close. Professional, prepared, passionate, persistent. His words echo. There are only two places in the league, first place and no place. 1967, Hank Aaron told a nervous rookie, "Everyone will know who you are." 2024, everyone still does. Which quote hit you hardest? Drop it in the comments. Check out our Bob Gibson video. The man Seaver beat 6 times. Share this with someone who needs to understand what excellence really means. Tom Seaver did not just pitch baseballs. He pitched a standard.